What's up, everybody? It's Andrew from the Jaguar podcast, and today is our first episode of Teal Takes. And we have a great show in for you. We have a returning guest, Paul Spicer. But before I introduce him, I'm going to do a quick shout out to one of our partners and affiliates, flteams.com. It is a great sports website that cover all things Florida sports. That's flteams.com. So today I have actually a returning guest, former Jacksonville Jaguars defensive lineman and coach Paul Spicer. He played with the Jaguars from 2000 to 2008. And he was also assistant defensive line coach for the Jaguars and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give it up for my man, the great Paul Spicer.
That's it, baby.
What's up, Paul? How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's going right now. Just, you know what? Just trying to take it day by day, trying to stay safe out there. Every time I turn on the TV, it seems like there's a new variant. So just trying to keep my family safe and stay healthy.
Yeah, same here, man. But thank God we have sports. We can kind of escape for a little bit and find some enjoyment in these crazy times.
I'm telling you, sports is the cure to stress, man. When I used to play, I used to love to be able to go to practice and just let loose and release. You know, I mean, I think even if you're not an athlete, you know, you just love watching sports, it's still a rush. You still get that adrenaline and you get the chills and you allow it to just kind of release and get that, you know, especially been going through these stressful times, dealing with everything we've been dealing with the past 2 years. You know, we need it. And I'm glad that we able, you know, professional sport teams can go out there and put a product on the field that we can be proud of and allow us to be able to have those releases.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Jaguars, man. It is. I mean, it's been a long time since we talked, so we have a lot to catch up on with the Jaguars. And I mean, let's jump into it, man. Urban Meyer fired a few weeks ago. Total clown show. I mean, it has just been one thing after another with this guy. I was not for the hire. I know you kind of had some thoughts on that as well. But what's your take on the whole Urban Meyer disaster and how that all kind of unfoiled?
Man, it's really unfortunate because, as I said many times to many people, you know, despite where I am in my career, you know, Jacksonville is always going to be home. The organization is going to always have a soft spot in my heart, a place in my heart, because again, I spent 9 years as a part of that organization as a player and 2 years as a coach. And, you know, when I see things like this happening, it continues to, you know, the organization continues to take steps backwards. 2007, you thought they ascended to a place that, you know, hey, it's a hard place to get to a game before the Super Bowl. That's very hard for a lot of teams. But at least you would say that you saw that and you would say, okay, well, maybe we're on the right track. You know, maybe they got it kind of figured out. And all of a sudden the wheels fell off after that. And, they lost a lot of great talent. And, you know, Urban Meyer hire, like you said, you wasn't for it. I wasn't for it. And, you know, my main reason is because I haven't seen a college guy like Urban Meyer. And I'm not even talking about all the stuff, all the baggage that Urban Meyer carries. I mean, he has a lot of baggage, and that's clearly not the case that I'm making. It's just the fact that I have not seen a college coach come into the NFL without NFL experience, without NFL experience and make that transition and be successful. So I don't know what analytics they were looking at when they hired him, because I'm sure it's probably a part of the process. But it's unfortunate that his baggage caught up to him and it was on display. And that's one of the biggest things that I was telling a friend of mine that's different between college football than NFL as a coach, because I've been on both sides, is that, your personal life and the things you do in college, you can keep it under wraps a little bit better than you can in NFL. NFL, man, that camera, that microphone, that that keypad is in your face and people are at you. And it doesn't matter where you are. and they will exploit it the best way they know how. And it's unfortunate. And I don't think, I'm pretty sure some people might have told Urban Meyer going into the Jaguar job, but when you've been doing something a certain way for so long, he didn't listen, and he said, I got this, and unfortunately, he really didn't.
Yeah, it just, oh my gosh, man, it was just a total dumpster fire. I mean, from the get, I just couldn't believe the stories I was hearing. I mean, I don't know what you were hearing. I know you're connected, in Jacksonville. I just couldn't believe it when I heard that he did not fly back one with the team after that loss in Cincinnati, and then the Josh Lambo thing where he kicked the kicker. I mean,
yeah,
that was just out of control. I mean, if that happened, luckily it was, I mean, I want to say luckily, but if that was somebody like a defensive lineman or a linebacker, I mean, somebody would have got hurt really badly.
Oh, you better believe it. He would have got jumped on because, again, in college, you can control players way on a whole nother level than you can in the NFL. These are grown men in the NFL. They are professional. Just like as a coach, you're a professional, and you have to conduct yourself as such. But unfortunately, we do have certain coaches that have their egos get the best of them, and they lash out and they do things that are unbecoming a professional. And if that story is true, which, like I said, I don't know. I mean, again, Josh, Lambo said it. If he said it, then hey, I don't know the guy. So like I said, I wasn't there. But I heard the story about Urban Meyer calling all the coaches losers, and directing it as if they have never won anything, and he's the only one that's won something because of his national championships in college. And it's I guess sometimes it's like he has to realize when you step across those lines as a professional, as an NFL, coach, even as a player, when these college guys come from college and come to the pros, there's so much they have to learn. I learned it when I came out of college. It doesn't matter where you drafted. It doesn't matter what school you went to. If you're from the SEC or the ACC or Big Ten, it doesn't matter where you come from. Because when you walk through those doors of a professional organization, hey, man, you at the bottom. You got to work your way up. You got to earn respect. You got to show people your character and who you are and what you're about. And as they see you live up to what you say you are, then and as you treat others, you're going to start gaining the respect of your peers as well as your team. And I think there needs to be a mutual respect when coaches come from college to the pros. You can't come with that college mentality of talking to the players any kind of way and saying things, being disrespectful. That ain't gonna fly in the NFL. It's not.
No.
Either two things gonna happen. You're gonna get your ass beat. Excuse my French. You can get the beat down, which is not likely, but it has happened. There's been a lot of stories in the NFL where players have jumped up on coaches, and because coaches, again, they talk out of turn. They say things that are very disrespectful, and that doesn't fly. And the second thing is you lose your job. You lose your job because owners, they understand it. It takes, when you come in as a coach and you're doing things to the players where the players can't be at their best, it takes away from them. Well, guess what? The ownership got to realize it and get the guy out of there.
Yeah.
And that's what they did with Urban Meyer.
I just can't believe it took this long. I mean, when I heard about the whole viral video and then the not flying back with the team, which is just unheard of. I mean, I just could not. I would have, if I was the GM, I would have said bye-bye. Week 4, after week 4, bye-bye. We gotta right the ship. But it's just crazy how out of control it got, and then we end up ruining, Josh Lambo, who had the 4th highest accuracy in NFL kicking. And I just noticed something, man. When I was watching the games, I was like, he didn't look right. I made a video about this where I kind of I had a little theory that he had gotten into Josh's head because Urban has been known to be kind of psychological like that, and there talk about him getting into players' heads, but it's just a shame, like the downward spiral. And now I guess we're picking up the pieces, and we still have Trent Baalke. What are your thoughts on that? That's
I was thinking about it last night. I don't know if was Urban a Trent Baalke hire or a owner Shad Khan hire. I think if it was more on the ownership side of things, when it came to the hiring of Urban Meyer, then Baalke gonna get a pass. So many times you see that take place, that transpires in the National Football League, where owners are enamored with a coach and they don't care. They don't care what the front office say. They want that coach. I can clearly remember when I was there, and Shad just got there, and he was enamored with Tim Tebow. And I tell this story, every now and then. I tell people that he wanted Tim Tebow, and Mike Mularkey didn't want Tim Tebow. The coaches, the offensive staff didn't want him. And it literally came down to Tim Tebow. Did he really want to come to Jacksonville or not? And, I tell people, that I talked to in Jacksonville when this whole Tebow thing started earlier last year, before the season, when they brought in Tim Tebow much years later, many years later, I said, it's Tim Tebow's fault that he is where he is, because when he had the opportunity in 2012, I think it was 2012, to come to the Jaguars with full support of the ownership. Now, it'd have been a little rough because, when a coach is told he got to do something and he don't want to do it, again, as a coach, you still want to be able to, coach your team the way you want to coach your team, and, give your team the best chance to win. And you feel like a player is not that guy, it's going to be hard to kind of coach a little bit. But if the owner wants it, you need to make it happen. And despite the personal feelings of the offensive staff, if Tim Tebow decided to come to Jacksonville, hey, man, he would have been in Jacksonville. And Tim Tebow decided to go to New York, which, looking back, what? If it was me, I would like, Tim, man, bring your butt to Jacksonville. You would have been a god almost. The way, Gator Nation would have embraced that dude because of what he, what he's done and what he's about. And I'm not saying Tim Tebow's a bad dude or anything like that, but man, he could have came to Jacksonville. And like I said, I don't know what would have happened. I'm not going to say he went out there and stunk it up or anything like that. But, hey, he wasn't a very good quarterback. But, hey, they would have gave you a shot. And why not take that shot with a place that you got a lot more rope, if you understand where I'm coming from. But it didn't happen. And unfortunately, we went with the next best thing, and which was his coach. And unfortunately, that didn't work out either. So here we are.
Well, that's a really interesting story, Paul. I never knew that Mike Mularkey, or excuse me, the ownership wanted to bring in Tebow back when Mike Mularkey was here. And then, it makes the whole Tebow thing that transpired this off season, it makes so much more sense now that they always wanted him and they always wanted to bring him in.
Yeah.
But the whole tight end thing, him playing tight end, it really, I don't know, to me was a little disrespectful too to tight ends. Guys like Kelsey and it's hard to play tight end. It's not just something you can jump in there and kind of just pick up. These are guys that are dealing with amazing defensive players and athletes. It's not an easy thing to do at all. And to think that he could just jump in there and do that. And
Tim Tebow doesn't have the makeup to play tight end. I'm sorry. He athletically, maybe, and that's a big maybe, but from a standpoint of what you have to do in those trenches, you don't go from quarterback to tight end in the National Football League after sitting out, 6 years?
Yeah.
That just don't happen. And, they had to find a place for him. But again, if, I don't want to make this show about Tebow, but like I said, because I was in those rooms, if Tebow wanted to make the transition many years ago, Maybe he's still be in the NFL now. I don't know. But I knew many years ago he was unwilling to make the transition. And, people want to say how much of a team guy he is. Well, dude, if you were such a big team guy, make the transition when you were younger and more athletic and but maybe be able to learn another position. But when he was not, hey, it ended up eroding to where it became, a circus show, and going out there trying to play tight end in your 30s and you've never done it before. I mean, that was just embarrassing on his part.
Well, he got paid too, right? He got paid $1 million or something to do that. I mean, and I
Wow.
feel like that roster spot could have gone to somebody else. I mean, and
Well, I didn't know the numbers as far as what they paid him to bring him in, but I mean, hey, I don't know. I mean, if they sold enough did they sell the
yeah,
jerseys? And I don't
yeah,
know if they made their money on that. I don't know.
his
So,
jersey was like, I think the top selling jersey for a while, for that little
so
stint.
that $1,000,000 they gave him,
Yeah.
they got it back.
Yeah.
They got it back.
Oh man, it's crazy how the business works. But yeah, so now they're, segueing to the Trent Baalke situation. That now there's talk about Bill O'Brien being possibly the next Jaguars head coach. He's going to be interviewed, or I think he interviewed this week, I believe. So that's a very interesting situation. Didn't have a lot of success with players like, Deshaun Watson, traded out DeAndre Hopkins out of there.
Yeah.
Didn't get along with JJ Watt, which I feel like, JJ Watt's like the ultimate team guy, that's a guy you want in your locker room. And even they got into a shouting match apparently after practice, and now JJ Watt's with the Cardinals. So what are your thoughts on the whole Bill O'Brien situation?
I mean, it's like I'm a little torn because, I guess if the GM is trying, I don't know if he want to make a splash or what, but it's like the last thing I think they want to do is continue reaching out to guys that's going to bring controversy. I mean, you just went through the whole spiel with Urban, and there was a lot of, way more of the controversy than Bill O'Brien. But when you look at Bill O'Brien's track record, yes, the Texans did win. I mean, they did make the playoffs. But when you look at how things eroded there and how players felt alienated, disrespected, that stuff gets out, and players talk to players. And that's the one thing I really believe, that there are a lot of teams in the National Football League that has a disconnect from front office to the players, to the locker room. There's a disconnect. And if there's a way that Jacksonville can figure that out, whoever they hire, figure that out and get to these young players, because that's where it is. You got to be able to relate. You got to be able to speak to these young men in a manner that, what? They got to believe that, man, this coach is for me. And you know what? When it's 4th and 1, they're gonna give you a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get that first down for you, or to stop the team from getting the first down.
Right.
That kicker is going to take, he's going to take another second to get the right angle to make that kick, because he wants to win for you, because he knows you're for him. But when there's always when there's a lot of question marks in their head, they're like, nah, I'm just going to rely on my talent. I'm just going to go out here and do what I do. And you hear that all the time. But what, I'm telling you, when you got the players, it's like, yo, they down for their coach. Yeah, they're gonna go out there and they're gonna go do it. And don't get me wrong. Do you need more talent and all that stuff? Yes, but You know what? I got a saying that, I mean, this is from me. This ain't nothing that I read in a book or anything like this. I came up with this a few years ago. I need to trademark it because I know it's gonna get stolen one of these days. I don't care, but I say this time to my players. I say, hey man, talent gets you to halftime, but technique gets you to win. And what that basically means is, yeah, you can rely on your talent, but it ain't gonna get you nowhere. But when you put the work in every day and refine that talent with the technique, man, the sky's the limit on what you can do as a athlete. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And you want those players, those young players in Jacksonville, to have a coach that they feel like, you know what, man, this guy's for me. And like I said, I just think too many times the front office folks, they quick to jump to what has this coach has done, and he's won, or we got a relationship, we got the same agent, type of business, or that's my buddy type of business, and not look at the fact that, man, is this guy, can he come in and really relate to this young team? Because Jacksonville's young. They don't have no old heads on their team. I mean, I can't think of a guy right now on their squad. Maybe Linder might be the oldest cat in there, but I can't think of any old guys on their squad right now. That you can see that, oh yeah, that's the guy. I mean, and right now, honestly, another thing that I think the team is missing, that I think the front office needs to take consideration, is that, man, they need leadership. They need true leadership.
I was just going to say that. I mean, we took a beating against the Patriots. Like, it was tough to watch. And the only player that went out and spoke to the media was Trevor Lawrence, who's a rookie. And I mean, he's showing the most leadership, I feel like, on that team. None of the captains went out and did any media. Josh Allen wasn't out there, Miles Jack. You didn't see any of them. And it was disappointing, Paul. It's like, I think you hit it right on the head there. Leadership. That is what this team needs, and culture.
Comes, trust me, when I was in Jacksonville, that was the one thing that you talk to anybody that played with me, that played with those teams that I was a part of, we had leadership. Okay. That was one of the things that allowed me to be a captain. I wasn't the best player. I wasn't the highest paid player. I wasn't the Pro Bowl guy. I didn't care. And that's another thing that, don't get me wrong, because the coach side of me will come out. And that's another thing, is that, a lot of these players, man, they just want to be role guys. They just want to be one of the guys. They don't want to be the guy that got to stand out and speak up and speak out. And the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, man, you got to look in the mirror. All right. You can't sit there and just always say, well, it was the head coach's fault. It's Urban Meyer's fault. No, bro. Urban Meyer didn't drop that pass. Urban Meyer didn't miss that tackle. Yeah. So it's like, again, it unfortunately, this season turned into, a shit show. Unfortunately, and the head coach had a lot to do with it. But again, on the flip side of things, hey, some of those players, because I ain't gonna leave out these players either, man, and think this is gonna be all jump on the coach side. No, some of these players, went out there, some games I watched. Hey, man, Marvin Jones, you've been around, bro. Catch the damn ball. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this young man, Trevor Lawrence, is back there with a subpar offensive line. Okay. And matter of fact, the O-line's young.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam ain't an old guy. I mean, he's been in the league, 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
And then you got the other kid out of Florida.
Jawan Taylor.
Out of Florida. Play right tackle.
Jawan Taylor.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. Young guy, been in the league 2 years. Okay. You got young guys.
Yep.
Like I said, I think Linder's the oldest guy they had up. I mean, Norvell and Linder is 2 older guys they had on the line. And trust me, that Norvell guy, he ain't very, I mean, he ain't nothing to, sit here and write home about. But the fact of the matter is, these guys got to realize, okay, man, we draft you, we signed you to bring you in to help us win. You
Yeah.
know, so some of these players that they took the money because Jacksonville got a lot to spend, just like this year, they got a lot of money to spend. So those don't come to Jacksonville, take the money, and then all of a sudden you become an average football player. See, that's the stuff that just I think needs to be driven home to some of these guys. That look, if you're going to come to Jacksonville and try to benefit off no state tax, the beaches, and take all this money that we're about to give you, and become a subpar average player, we used to call them C players, and sometimes play like a B player. No, we need A players. If you're an A player and we paid you like an A player, then damn it, you better bring it like your A game on Sunday. And I need to see it in practice because it just don't happen on Sunday. I need to see you be an A player from Monday through Saturday. And that goes for on and off the field. Because some of these guys, they get paid and it seems like once they got the bag, their brain went in the bag.
So do you think, segueing into the coaching conversation again, do you think Byron Leftwich would be, since he's a player, ex-Jaguars quarterback, do you think that he would be a good choice because he brings that, leadership and that experience of playing in Jacksonville and being a coach as well? Do you think that he would be a good choice?
I think he can be. He's still Byron. I mean, again, he's been doing a great job in Tampa. Getting an opportunity to be around, Bruce Arians is a great coach. To learn from Bruce Arians, he's been around Bruce Arians since Bruce Arians was in Arizona. He get an opportunity to be around probably the best that's going to go down in history as probably the best quarterback ever, and Tom Brady. To have that plug into a guy like Tom Brady, to where even if Jags do hire Leftwich, that hey, make the connection, Trevor Lawrence and Brady. Put them guys together. Let Trevor Lawrence either come to Tampa or wherever Brady is in California or wherever he is. Go train with Brady. Go do what Brady do. And I'm not saying you're gonna beat Brady, but just from a standpoint of through osmosis, you're gonna be able to soak up something that can help you, because Brady is doing it 20 plus years, man. You don't get to 20 plus years by stinking it up.
No.
You get to 20 plus years by putting in that work in the off season. And sometimes it's work that you ain't gonna want to do. But man, this guy got 7 rings. Hey, if I was a young quarterback, man, I tell you what, I'll be in a sleeping bag in a tent outside Brady's door in the off season. All right. And to have Leftwich come in with that plug already and just say, hey, Brady, I just need you. Could you take a few weeks, with this guy? And Brady ain't there to coach him, but just be able to show him, how to take care of his body. Yeah. Just be able to show him some of the things you do to get ready for the season. And Brady got to do a lot. Okay. He's in his 40s. All right. I'm in my 40s. I know how it takes a lot to get out the bed. So I know for Brady to get on that field, it takes a lot. And why not learn it now as a young 20-something where nothing hurts? You wake up and roll out of bed and you ain't feeling a thing. Why not learn it now? Learn about the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Learn about those things, now from a guy like Tom Brady. So I think Byron can be, especially with Byron's experience as well as a player, as you mentioned earlier. He knows Jacksonville. He lived there. So he does know, the community and the culture in that city a little bit better than most guys. I saw that Byron, as well as Kellen Moore, is getting interviewed by the Jaguars either today or tomorrow. I think it was today or yesterday. But I think, like I said, hey, have, a guy like that kind of come in and relate to your quarterback, because like you mentioned, Trevor Lawrence was a guy that stepped up after taking a shellacking by New England, getting beat by almost 50 points and saying, hey, he put it on his back. I mean, that is the making of a good leader.
Yeah.
Because I know how it feels. You lose like that. I've had games where I lost like that, and yes, I spoke to the media and I had my heart on my sleeve and told them exactly how I felt about our play, not and the lack thereof, and how embarrassing it was for our fans to have to watch that, and it was embarrassing, to have to watch our team, the Jaguars, go out there in New England and lose the way they did in that fashion. I know a few of those coaches on that staff personally, and I know they were pissed, to lose like that. So it's going to be very interesting, in these next few weeks to see who the Jaguars decide to bring in who's going to lead this team. And I think it really needs to be a guy that can relate. It needs to be a guy that's going to bring energy to the organization, um, into the locker room, and be able to build a bond between the coach's office and their locker room. I can't speak on front office because Balky's there, and I don't know what he's doing to try to mend that. Too many times you see GMs, they walk the halls and they speak to players, and on game day they got their arm around guys and trying to give guys their 2 cents on what they can do to be better. Man, that ain't gonna work. That don't work. I think it needs to be much more than the say la vies and things that these GMs do game day and walk around in their suits on game day and then sweats throughout the week, and just to try to shoot the crap with the players every now and then. Man, go down there and feel the pulse of the locker room and understand the locker room and understand what you got to do as a GM to make that team better.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be a guy that you're sitting there talking to that you need to get rid of, because he's not good enough, and he hit this ceiling of his talent, and he's not doing anything to break through. And that's the thing about being a professional athlete. What are you doing to break through? Because all of our talent has a ceiling.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to break through that ceiling? And if the guy's not, doing what he needs to do, then get him out of there. Get him out of there and get another guy. Get a guy that's going to work. Because there are a lot of players out there that are hungry, that are grinding every day to get an opportunity to grace that, national football field. I mean, because I tell you what, I know the feeling, how it felt for me, coming back to Canada and getting the opportunity with Detroit Lions. And when I got cut, man, it was a sucky feeling. But when I got the opportunity to work out for Coughlin and John Pease, may God rest his soul, I tell you what, man, I bust my tongue was hanging out my mouth because I've never been to Florida, but one time in the preseason against Miami. But I was out there in that Florida heat, about to die, and I would not let Coach Pease and Coach Coughlin see me, look like I'm about to die. I felt like it, but I didn't look like it.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was good enough that day to convince them to sign me. And but I continued to work though. I continued to show them that I was, not only appreciative of the opportunity, but I can be a part of the team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The practice squad wasn't good enough. Going and getting activated wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I kept grinding and doing the things I needed to do. And the next thing you know, I'm a starter. Oh, next thing you know, I'm a captain of the team. What are you doing? I mean, that's the whole thing that when I look at players, I'm like, are you trying to ascend in your profession, or are you good where you are? Are you good where you at? Then, bro, we don't need you. I need players trying to ascend. That's what Jacksonville need at the end of the day. So I hope Balky is looking for, as him and Shah Khan, as they look for the coaches. If the coach got that same mindset, is that coach coming in here? Everybody can say, yes, we want to win a Super Bowl. That's easy. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear nobody on their, I mean, whoever they hire. I don't want to hear them get up there on the podium and talk about, oh, we're gonna do this to win a Super Bowl. I don't want to hear that speech. I want to hear I'm coming in here to change this environment, change the culture of this team to where I want guys who want to be here, who want to do it the right way. It ain't about so much my way, because my way doesn't mean it's right way because I'm this new head coach. It's a collaboration of the coaching staff, the front office, the ownership, and the players. All of us working together, and we can bring it. And we can do. If we do that, we can bring a championship to this city.
Yeah, I feel like we need guys like, I mean, you played with John alongside John Henderson and Marcus Stroud. I mean, we need guys like that have energy, you know, that want to be there, that can get the team, you know, G'd up and ready. I mean, I remember I always watched the locker room video of John Henderson and the slap and him getting
that was crazy.
And I saw you too. You were right there. He ran right by you, and we need guys like that just bring energy back into that locker room, because I feel like it's like a graveyard. It's just, you know, people. I mean, I get it. It's a tough situation, but I mean, we need energy like that.
But I'll tell you, and I ain't gonna lie, I'll be honest with you. You know, Jack Del Rio, man, his first 5 years, it was like that. Jack was like, "Yo, we go, let's roll, let's go out here and beat the dog crap out of these guys." You know, Jack used to be like, "Hey, this is a double chin strap game. Let's go do let's buckle up." And but you know what though? Not just coming from the head guy. Myself and Mike Peterson, Big John, Stroud, Donovan Darius, you know, Deion Grant. Man, we had guys that were like, "Yo, we ain't about to let nobody come up in here. Just gonna run down our throat. Hell no, we ain't doing that." I mean, you had guys with that sense of pride, not only in themselves, but they were projecting it outward amongst their teammates. Because don't get me wrong, Fred Taylor, he wasn't a big talk guy. I mean, Fred was like, "Yo, man, I just need the ball. Just give me the ball, man. That's all. I'm good." You know, I mean, Mojo was a lot more talkative, and that's why probably Mojo's on NFL Network now, because Mojo was a constant talker. But you know what? He backed it up.
Yeah,
backed it up.
Pocket Hercules.
If you ain't gonna walk it, shut up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Sometimes I think a lot of players don't realize either, is that, hey man, don't get on social media and bump your gums. You know, internet gangsters. All these internet gangsters out here, but yet instead, when I see you on the field or I see you out there, you know, playing, I don't see the guy I see, you know, on social media. Don't talk all that. Don't let your fans, you know, show who you are. You show who you are by your play.
Exactly.
And I mean, I appreciate all the guys that go out there in the community. That's a part of it. Great, but but you can't be a community leader and locker room dud. Can't be that, man. Can't work. You know, I want you to be a community leader, a locker room leader. Okay. I want you to be an A player. All those things. You got to be it all. You can't be sometimey. Can't be wishy-washy. Got to be that guy at all times. At all times. Because you ask anybody in Jacksonville that been around me and knows me, I was like that all the time. You know, I mean, I'm gonna give you my all the time. Hey, we rolling? Let's roll. Let's go get it. And you know what? When I was out in the community doing all my community stuff that I did, which I did a lot, I gave my all. You know, practice. Hey, there were some times I didn't want to practice. You know, it was rough, but you know what? I gave my all. You know, I wish I had some of them back because I could have gave more. But at the end of the day, I felt like looking back on my career, I gave more times than not. You know, because I'm human. I'm not gonna sit there and act like I was Superman and just every day I was on cloud. I was on 100, as the guys say. You know, I wasn't 100 every day, but I got more days that are 100 than I don't. Than days that I wasn't 100. So, you know, it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, in the next couple of weeks, that bringing a guy that's going to galvanize that locker room and those players and the organization to spearhead it to somewhere that it hasn't been in a long time.
Yeah. I'm hoping we can get somebody who can just light a fire, under some of these players and get them going and get some more energy back. Like you were saying, with Jack Del Rio and guys like Donovan Darius, and we need players like that are hungry and can get this team motivated. I'm going to go to the comments here just to show some of these. We have a comment from Payo Time. He's an LA Rams YouTuber. Hey, Andrew, Paul, hope you are both well. One here from Charlie Boy, just in time. Happy New Year's, you guys. Thank you, Charlie Boy. Then we have one from Brad Myers. Congrats to Paul for being one of the greatest 30 players in Jaguars history.
Man, didn't even know. Didn't even know. I didn't even know. I just, what? I was just, like I said, a guy that was willing to lay it on the line for my teammate, the organization, and that community. Just like I do as a father, as a husband, you know what I'm saying, as a friend. My friends, the guys that I roll with, they know, hey, they know I got their back.
Yeah.
And when I play, even now, one of my teammates called me, man, if I can help them, I help them, because I looked at all those guys as brothers from another mother, and you know what? Matter of fact, I bumped into a teammate a couple of days ago in my community. Didn't even know he lived here. So
that's awesome.
He came in a little later in my career, but LeBrandon Tofield, who was a running back at LSU that we drafted, and good dude. But yeah, it's something that it's a fraternity, in the sense that and that's just me. That's the way I take it. I can't say every guy is going to say that. But you know what? Uche Uneri, you talked about him before. Hey, man, I want to see all those guys, the guys I played with, doing well now that they retired, doing something. If it's football related, great. If it's not, hey, whatever it is, real estate, whatever, do your thing, man, and do it at the best of your ability, because no matter what you're doing in life, after your career is over, you can still bring that same drive and same passion and energy to your new career. I mean, I'm a coach now, and man, I'm giving my all just like I did as a player, as a coach. And that's what I bring, to coaching staffs that I've been a part of.
Yeah, you mentioned running backs, and Paul, you were an undrafted free agent, and it kind of makes me think of James Robinson, who is a great back, had 1,000 yards rushing in 2020, but now he's coming off a Achilles injury, and he's had surgery. You've seen a lot of running backs like Maurice Jones-Drew. He had Liz Frank. So does Travis Etienne. Do you think this is a pretty serious thing? Do you think he's going to have a smooth recovery, or?
You know what? I mean, I thought he had an Achilles, that he got hurt. Was it Achilles?
Yeah, he had like a torn Achilles, I think.
Yeah, and that's rough, for a running back, because like I said, having Achilles, usually it takes, to be fully healed, I've heard 2 years. But you know what? The guy, he showed a lot. And I think, what? Despite everything that was going on this year, I think he would have got another 1,000 yards if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He was already over 700 yards anyway when he got hurt. And that's even with getting benched, which was a whole another story, another urbanist story on top of everything else. But the fact of the matter is that he was he's a good player. I feel like he's one of those players that you do want on your team, because for a guy, he came in there last year, despite the record, despite what was going on, and he gave you his all, And I'm a guy out of a small school and was undrafted. And I like guys like James Robinson, because when you undrafted, man, you want, you come in with a mindset of I gotta show these guys I do belong. I gotta show these guys I should have been drafted, because I've been around some draft picks that, boy, they shouldn't have been drafted at all. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, unfortunately, it is what it is. That's the organization making a decision. But the fact of the matter is that this guy, James Robinson, I think that if he can, get healthy, get back, Travis Etienne, he comes in after coming off his injury, he's gonna be fresh. Coming out of college, this kid has home run speed. That's a nice combination. Don't get me wrong. In NFL, it's all about what have you done lately, and we're always trying to improve. And what that means is that we always looking to get better with somebody else. Now, don't know, but every year there's thousands of players coming out trying to prove themselves.
Yep.
Trying to prove that they're good enough, and that some will get drafted, some won't. And hey, if Robinson, the good thing about him, he's already has some stats in the book that he can do it. That bodes well for him moving forward. But if he can't come back and be productive as he's been, then you know what? They'll find somebody else real fast, or somebody else that's already there will take his spot. And there's being a professional athlete, you got to be thin skinned, man. At the end of the day, everybody there are coming in to take your job.
Yeah.
When I came in the league, I heard the same spiel. Hey man, you coming to take my job. So, don't look for me to help you in all this. And, that's fine. I just sit back and watch those guys, those professionals, because at the point I felt like I wasn't professional, but I learned, and as I grew and applied what I've watched and what I've learned, you know what? I became professional. And hey, it's a part of the business. So I pray that James Robinson is healthy and can come back and still be productive and be a 1-2 punch with Travis Etienne. The last time the Jaguars had a good 1-2 punch was Fred Taylor and Mojo.
Yeah.
And you saw that. Those guys, boy, hey, Fred was a guy that, would take a crease and go to he's gone. And
yeah.
Mojo, he was like a little bowling ball, a little battering ram, just running around, looked like Mechanic of He-Man. That's probably before your time there, Andrew. I don't know if you remember it, Mechanic from He-Man, a little guy with no neck, but a little character. But Mojo, man, love him. He's a great dude. Got more confidence. He got enough confidence for all of us. But you got to be that sometimes when people are going to sit there and question if you're going to be good enough. And I think Mojo answered those questions while he played. But, getting back on topic of, him and Fred had a great relationship. It wasn't about how many carries did you get, how many carries did you get. It wasn't no, word that's slipping my mind right now, but there was no animosity or anything between those two guys. Those two guys, they went at it every day in practice. They went at it even playing Madden, because both of them thought they were the best Madden players, even to this day. But you know what? They had a great relationship, man. And I think it made it showed in their play, because it was a healthy competition. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you want on your team. You want that healthy competition, because sometimes, players within themselves can help each other, and we'll see how that bodes for James Robinson when he comes back from his injury.
Yeah.
As well as Etienne, which he hasn't done anything yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope he comes back too. And I hope the front office, if he has a good season, they take care of him, pay him what he deserves. And but man, you brought back memories of the Maurice Jones-Drew. I remember watching, I was watching on YouTube. He was in pass protection and he just lit up Sean Merriman. He put Sean Merriman on his butt, and that was impressive. a guy like, of Maurice Jones-Drew's his size, and then putting a hit on a linebacker and just knocking him down. I mean, it was awesome.
Oh man, hey, like I said, people have underestimated Mojo, man. But let me tell you, that guy, you underestimated him. You didn't know, you didn't do your homework, and a lot of guys didn't. And Sean Merriman at the time, I think that was the beginning of the end for him anyway. Because once he took that hit, it was like nobody wouldn't let him live it down, because you got a guy that's 5'6", 5'7" on a good day. And here you come in 6'4", 250 off the edge, thinking you're just going to mold him over. And he just flat. I could remember it like it was yesterday. It was on the north end zone in our stadium at the time. And man, it lit a fire up on the whole team, and we all saw it. And they played it on the Jumbotron. And man, let me tell you, we ended up beating them anyway. At the Chargers that day, but that was one of those plays that really just energizes the whole team,
Yeah, and Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew, I mean, they were an amazing combination, a dynamic duo. I mean, they just fed off of each other. I mean, it was amazing to watch. And Maurice Jones-Drew, I mean, he could do it all. I mean, he was doing kickoff returns. I mean, he was good in pass protection. He could run north south or run over you. I mean, he was just an amazing player.
And that's what the front office again has to do with the scouting department and whatnot. And like I said, it's going to take Balky and the scouting department and that whole front office to really take a look at, and I'm sure they will take a look at the roster and see, okay, here's the areas we got to improve. It sucks because they don't really have coaches there to help them, because what, you would love to be able to kind of have the coaches staff already in place to be able to go in and and they will do a little bit of that once the new coach staff is there, because once you get hired, the new coach staff get hired, the first thing you guys are going to do is go in and assess your current roster,
right,
and go back through all the games that your position played, and look at their productivity, look at their strengths, look at their weaknesses, you look, I mean, all the things that is going to help this team move forward. And it's going to be a hard decision to make, some that some guys are not going to like, but they got to realize at the end of the day, it's a production business. If you're not producing, and they get rid of you, it's nobody's fault but your own at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's going to be tough, because I think, I'm sure you've heard of the clown show, or the clown movement, that's going on, right? The clown movement, the clown out. Everyone's changing their avatars to a clown with the mustache to
no, I haven't got up on that yet.
Well, that's a big thing. And now it's apparently there's going to be a large contingent of fans wearing clown suits to the final game against the Colts. And people are not happy with Shad Khan. I don't blame them myself. I'm frustrated. It's just tough to go through seasons like this and then to retain your GM and to not make a change there and start over. It's been very frustrating. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know you haven't heard about it, but I mean, do you feel some empathy for Jags fans right now?
I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a Jags fan. I did not know about, because again, I don't live in Jacksonville, but I did not know about the clown out deal. But I feel for the Jaguar fans, because again, another season to where hey, the playoffs are next week, and we're the Jaguars at home, and all the Jaguar have fans. It's a military town, so you constantly got an influx of people coming from somewhere else, and they're cheering for their team that's still playing in the playoffs. While you sitting there in Hooters or the pub or at the beach or wherever you may be at, or or your friends for that matter, listening to them talk about the Arizona Cardinals or the Cowboys or Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or New England Patriots or whatever team that's still playing, you got to sit there and hear all that crap, and you're like, man, damn Jaguars, man, we need to be. I want to be in those conversations, and they haven't been in those conversations since 2017. And that's what, man, that's we're all that's 4 years ago. I mean, actually 5 years ago. This is 2022, so that's 5 years ago. That's and prior to 2017, it was what was it? It was what 07? I think it was the last time. So that was 10-year drought. That's rough, man. The Jaguar fans need some. Got us to get some love. They need some love, man. So, I would, say it's rough to go through another off season when there's nothing going on with your team. But hopefully, this hire that's coming soon. I'm pretty sure it's coming soon. Shah Khan and Balky and Mark Lampkin, I'm sure he's going to be a part of it. I don't know if he's even still there, but
no, he's still there.
Khan as well. All those guys going to be a part of this, and bringing somebody that will, like I said, sustain that, bring in some energy and sustain it until the following season. Because right now, man, the fans, they need something. They need something to hold on to look forward to. And hopefully that, the powers to be can come up with some ways. I'm sure they can. You can just look at that stadium. I mean, they can come up with ways to, appease the fans for a few months until the season starts over again, which is not that long. I mean, you got the draft going to be coming up, and there's some things you can do to show the fans that, hey, we hear you. We're doing everything we can to put a product on the field that you can be proud of, that you can paint your face for, you know what I'm saying? Instead of putting a bag over your head.
A bag or a clown paint.
Yeah, or a clown mask on. You don't want to, that craziness, man. That's that's crazy. But
well, we were talking offline yesterday, and you were saying, man, you keep bringing up 2007, and that's why I kept bringing it up, is because that was the last time. Well, you guys were in the playoffs before 2017, and that must have been an amazing run. There was with David Garrard at quarterback, and that great run he had against Pittsburgh, and I mean that was probably an amazing feeling.
Oh, it is. It was. I mean, it was an amazing feeling, and Garrard did a great job. Rasheen played his butt off. Mojo played his butt off. I mean, defense, we did what we had to do. That year, and Pittsburgh was actually my favorite team to play against. I mean, I love playing against Pittsburgh. From day one, all the way back when we was in the same conference with the Jaguars, which a lot of people don't even remember. Back when it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. You don't even remember that, do you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Because I joke with a lot of my friends that are Pittsburgh fans, and I say, Heinz Field is like, Duval County up north for us.
Oh man,
I'm like, we love Heinz Field.
That's awesome. Love it. You know what? You're right, because man, we got more wins up in there when we played them, than they got wins against us. So in their field, but yeah, that place has got great memories. To beat them back to back in 2007. Once in the once in the regular season, then in the wild card game. I mean, that was like unbelievable. It was cold, muddy, great football weather. Terrible towels. I got a terrible towel. I was wiping with my butt, acting like I'm wiping my butt with a terrible towel. So, I had a lot of fun. I mean, to the Pittsburgh fans that may be watching, hey man, it's football. Not son. But I had a lot of fun, and Jacksonville, we just, like I said, man, we gotta make this hire, and then look at that roster and make some decisions on bringing in guys that is going to, which I'm still kind of pissed off that they let him go, but bringing in guys, like Calais Campbell, guys are going to make a difference. Calais Campbell, when I was talking about guys got to have their A game, and he's a guy who had played like an A player.
Yeah.
On the field, off the field. You don't get a Man of the Year award or be a recipient or be a guy that's up for that award if you're not living it. You're not living that life. And he was living it. And I was so pissed off that the Jaguars let him go because of money. I mean,
I couldn't believe that they let him go, but then they restructured Andrew Norwell's deal. I'm like, why can't you just, reconstruct Calais' deal? He's like, one of your top players, and probably could have retired as a Jaguar. It's just so funny.
He should have. He was a difference maker. He was a difference maker on that team. And again, that's the disconnect I'm talking about with the front office, and the front office convinces the ownership, hey, we need to do this. No, we don't need to do this. We need to go in there and say, look, this guy has been a difference maker since he walked in the door. What do we got to do to keep him? Those are the guys and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the front office was that great when I was playing for the Jaguars, but you know what? They kept us together as long as they could. And for the most part, Mojo, Freddie, John, Stroud, Reggie, Hayward, I mean, we all stayed together.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 years. And that's another thing that made our team in 07 that much better.
Yeah.
You can look at our team in 07, point a guy out that was his first year there. That was a guy that we really was counting on.
No, I mean, you're right. There are all a lot of seasoned veterans
we were all seasoned veterans that played together. So we knew each other. We had a bond.
Yeah.
There was that chemistry. That's why we went out there. It was like, yo. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I always mess with Mike Smith to this day, about, man, why did y'all change the defense when we went to New England? People talk about we lost in New England, but we changed the whole defense. And I mess with Jack Durrell too about it, because they changed up the defense. We played a little bit more 3-4. Which we shouldn't have. We should have stuck with the 4-3 the way we got there playing. And when we went to a 3-4, which was new for us, and that's not something we was practicing a lot of, man, they shredded us. They ran the ball up our butt at 07 in a playoff game against New England. And, like I said, but the thing about it is, through that whole season, man, we were tight. Every Thursday night, a bunch of us on defense and a few offensive guys, we hung out. We all go get something to eat, hang out on Thursday a little bit. Some guys hung out a little later. Most of us went home. But guess what? Friday, everybody was on time. There wasn't guys coming late. Now, it happens from time to time, but for the most part, hey, we were all together. And that's what you're not seeing.
Yeah.
You're not seeing.
Speaking of changing up the defense, I mean, with Coach Cullen, running a lot more 3-4 this year. Have you talked to him at all? I know you're close with Joe about kind of the struggles they're having on defense. Is it more of a personnel issue or just lack of veterans? Or I was kind of curious of what your take was on the defense this year.
Well, definitely personnel. I mean, he don't have. I mean, Joe came from Baltimore, and when you look at Baltimore's defense, I mean, they got some guys, they got some dudes up there now. They have some dudes, they
have Calais,
Big Boy Williams in the middle. He don't have those big horses in the trenches up in Jacksonville like he had in Baltimore. And while you trying in your first year, you're really trying to say, okay, let's just see who can play. We're gonna put these guys in position. Who's gonna be a guy? Don't get me wrong, Malcolm Brown, great pickup, played well, has played his butt off, and in Joe Cullen's scheme, but he's used to playing in that scheme. He played that scheme in New England. I mean, New England. He played in that same type of scheme in New England.
I think you mean New Orleans.
Oh, Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, he
played in New England too.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. Sorry.
I thought with football here, Drew.
I know, Paul.
But what I'm saying though, it's not so much the Malcolm Brown. All I'm saying is that, here's a guy that came in and has played well. Now there's some guys around him that don't fit the scheme. I'm sorry, Taven Bryant, he don't fit that scheme. I mean, he's unfortunately, a first round guy that probably needs to team move on from. I mean,
it's off.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. I'm so ready for Taven Bryant to move on.
He don't fit the scheme.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Taven Bryant is a great athlete. I liked the kid when he was coming out of Florida. I liked him. I didn't think he was a first round guy, but I liked him. I went up there and took him to dinner and everything when I was interviewed him, and I didn't work him out. I was supposed to work him out, but I was there for the what they call it, the draft, the what they call it, the freaking workout where all the
combine, the combine, NFL
not combine. The combine. I saw him at the combine too, which he looked crazy, but I could tell you a story about him at the combine, but no, at the colleges when they have their workout, what do they call it? Pro days,
yeah, okay.
So prior to pro day, I took Taven Bryant out and sat him down and talked to him. Intelligent young man, comes from a great family. I think his dad was a Navy SEAL, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. So he's out of Wyoming, which was kind of, a kid from Wyoming all the way to Florida. But like I said, kid was talented, quick twitch, get off the ball. Doesn't play as strong as one would like. It's something he needs to improve on. But ability, he has it. You don't see it on game day. Don't know why. I don't coach him, so I can't sit here and try to break that down. But I just think that he needs to be play 3 technique in a 4-3 to allow him to kind of utilize his talent. For his technique, there are some flaws there that he needs to work on. That you got to point out to him and hope that he takes to heart and put the work in the all season. But I just think that what Jacksonville needs at that position, he's not it. But again, you have 2 guys in Chason and Allen who are pretty much one and the same type of guy. They're lightweight, outside linebackers. That you're not going to get these guys to. They're not run stoppers.
Yeah.
You need a guy you're going to put on the edge that can be able to hold the point, set the edge and be able to, get off blocks and make plays. Not saying they didn't do that, but they got to grow into those positions and add more strength to their body. But both of them are really pass rushers. They're third down, they're DPRs, designated pass rushers. And with that, you needed guys like Jalen Ramsey, which they let go. To help them get teams to third down, so that way you can utilize those guys, Chason and Allen, utilize their talent.
Yeah.
But Miles Jack, he's in the middle. But again, I think he's playing out of position. He's not a middle linebacker. But they drafted him pretty high, and they felt like they could make that change. But those are just, like I said, personnel things that the Jaguars got to look at once they get a staff in there and make those changes. Joe's a good dude, great coach, great technician, great teacher. But we'll see what happens with all that. Maybe he stays, maybe he goes. Don't know. I mean, I never hate to see a friend lose a job, but it's a part of the business. It's a part of the business. I mean, heck, I wouldn't be talking to you right now if I had a job. So, like I said, I understand the business as much as anybody when it comes to that. So, but right now, man, the team has a lot of work to do in the all season to show the fans that, and with Shad Khan leading the way, that they're committed to rolling out a team in 2022, 23 that's going to be a contender, and we'll see.
Yeah, Paul, I wanted to share this comment with you from Brad Myers. He says, Paul remembers that the Saints many years ago were so bad, like the Jaguars, the fans showed their frustration by wearing bags over their faces. I know you mentioned that too.
Yeah, but then Drew Brees showed up and it all changed.
Yeah, it all changed after that. But so I wanted to kind of wrap up with Trevor Lawrence. Wanted to talk a little bit about him. You know, in my opinion, you can't really base a lot of this. It's hard to really baseline his first year just with everything going on, all the distractions around him. I mean, I think we've obviously seen him, you know, in a leadership position. So he's got a lot of leadership skills. He handles these press conferences very well. He's got a lot of raw talent. I just don't think he's had the staff around him to kind of, you know, help build him up. So do you see him getting much better next year with the new staff? Like what's your outlook on Trevor Lawrence?
Well, first, it's not just the staff. I think Trevor Lawrence himself need to go back and you know, look at what he's done and look at some of the mistakes he's made, some of the decisions he's made that were bad decisions. He's made some good ones. Some of the things that where, you know, when he run the little zone read, inside zone runs, where he could have pulled that ball and took off. I mean, he's a good athlete. He doesn't run enough, personally. But some of the throws he made and some of the coverages that he threw the balls into. I mean, you know, he take your time. I mean, don't have to force it. And I think he just trying to, you know, as a competitor, you're trying to help your team win. And he made decisions to try to help his team win, which ultimately turned out to be bad ones. So he got to look at himself first and foremost before any staff will come in and just miraculously make him better. That doesn't happen. See, people don't realize that the NFL players, they got to make themselves better first. You know, yes, you can get a good coach. He's going to help you. He can show you some things. But if you don't take it upon yourself and look at yourself and say, where can I get better? And that's got to be an everyday deal. You got to be working on yourself every day as a professional athlete. And that's in any sport. If you're trying to be great. Now, you got a mindset, I want to be just one of the guys, like I said earlier. Now, I don't get that feel from Trevor Lawrence. I think he has more to him than that. I think, you know, watching him in college at Clemson and some of the things he did there. Sorry, family's home. So I think that he showed that he's a guy that wants to be the guy up front. He wants to be that leader. And that's great. That's what you want on your quarterback. Nine times out of 10, the quarterback is the face of the franchise. And you want a guy to want to embrace that. And he looks like he has everything from a physical standpoint, talent standpoint, and as we talked about earlier, the lack thereof of leadership in that team. Hopefully his leadership will grow, and not only grow, but he can get some help in that department from some other guys. Maybe those guys are guys getting drafted or guys they're going to sign in free agency, however it may be. But he also needs his supporting cast to play better because, again, we mentioned earlier about the drops. I mean, he has some receivers that he's hitting and they're wide open and they're dropping the ball. That can't happen. You know, for a guy like him, he's young, he needs that confidence, you know, to feel like, you know, man, I'm making the reads, I'm making the throws, but guys are throwing the ball. I mean, guys are. Well, my son's coming, man. He's gonna be loud. So. But
yeah, I couldn't agree with you.
What you say?
I said couldn't agree with you more, Paul. I'm really excited to see more from Trevor next year. Hopefully he gets better. But you know, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. I know you've been so gracious with your time, and hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I look forward to it. We'll get together and do something.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We're going to wrap up here. And Paul, how can listeners and watchers follow you? Do you have your Twitter handle?
Oh, Coach Spicer 95.
Okay.
Twitter.
Yeah, give Paul give Paul a follow. And thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Paul. And we'll see you next time.
All right, Andrew. Take care, buddy.
Right. Thanks.
All right.